Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me back on the baseline. So, somewhere on a quiet street in California, a for sale sign squeaks in the wind. It's been there so long, the grass beneath it has actually died. The paint's fresh, but the hope is gone. And across the country, the same story seems to be repeating itself. Open houses with free cookies and no offers. Because this isn't a pause. It's a pulse check on a market that's flatlining in slow motion. Now, the headlines will call it a correction, but history will remember it as the year the illusion of demand finally broke. Now, in August of 2025, more than 56,000 home purchase contracts collapsed, about 15% of all deals. That is the highest cancellation rate for August since records began in 2017. Tens of thousands of families thought they were getting keys and ended up with crushed credit scores and lost deposits instead. Sellers thought they were cashing out and ended up relisting, repricing, and reliving the same denial loop. Now, we used to define a buyer's market by inventory. 6 months supply meant the buyers had leverage. But this time, inventory is tight, and buyers, they're still walking away because the new currency isn't listings, it's trust. It's like showing up to a restaurant where the menu hasn't changed since 2021. But the prices have doubled. And the chef insists the portions are the same. And you look down and realize half the plate is garnish. Now, sellers are that chef right now. They keep serving 2021 prices to 2025 wallets. And buyers, they've become ghost hunters with inspection flashlights, uncovering everything from leaky roofs to wiring that hasn't been touched since maybe the Cold War. Now, 70% of canceled contracts cite repairs or inspection failures. So what does that mean? What does that translate into? Well, the translation is people are paying champagne prices for fixer-uppers with plumbing from another century maybe. Now, in Texas and Florida, the dream homes are turning into stage sets. Perfect lighting, hollow walls. Now, cancellations there are now topping the nation because new builds flooded the market with insurance premiums that exploded. Now, the same trick they pulled in 2007, right? Sell the fantasy first, worry about the math later. 30% of buyers can't even qualify for mortgages right now. And 20% can't sell the home they already have. Another 15% had a change in financial situation, which is the polite way to say the bills won. Now, when your lender says, "We regret to inform you," that's banker speak for, "We finally looked at your pay stub." And then comes the tax squeeze, right? In Austin, Texas, a city once branded as the affordable alternative, local leaders are floating a 20% property tax hike. 20%! Gosh, guys, that's not governance. That's a shakedown in broad daylight. Now, even after prices there dropped, and they dropped more than 20% from their 2022 highs, ownership still bleeds cash. It's the new American riddle. Home prices fall, but the cost of living, it just keeps rising and rising. Now, city councils promise infrastructure investments while approving $10 million airport art projects. It's weird, right? It's like your roof collapsing while your contractor paints murals in the lobby. Governments, banks, and developers all got hooked on pandemic stimulus. And the free money it ended, but the spending unfortunately did not. Now, every level of power is addicted to yesterday's high. And the truth is this. This isn't a housing slowdown. It's a confidence crash. Buyers don't believe sellers, and sellers don't believe appraisals. And the system doesn't believe its own math. Now, mortgage rates, they get blamed a lot. And maybe it's legitimate, maybe it's not, I don't know. But even if they drop to 4.5%, the fantasy number Zillow floats, homes would still be unaffordable in most coastal cities. Now, you could set rates at 0, and Los Angeles would still price out its teachers, because the enemy isn't interest; it's inflation without income. So think of America's housing market as a movie set on really shaky scaffolding, and the camera pans and the lights glow, but step behind the facade, and the beams are actually rusting. And yet, every week, new headlines tell people to use your home equity to pay off your debt. Wrap your credit cards around your house like a life preserver made out of cement. And it's kind of a financial Russian roulette, if you will, right? Only the gun is your own mortgage. And sure, the interest rate's lower until they take the house, but then the rate is 100% regret, isn't it? Now, a real economy doesn't need gimmicks like this, or subsidies, or HELOC hacks to survive. It needs wages that match reality, taxes that fund necessity, and leadership that remembers homes are for living, not for leveraging just to survive. And it's interesting because the next bubble, it won't pop in boardrooms or banks. It'll pop on kitchen tables when families realize the American dream wasn't stolen by strangers. It was slowly auctioned to the highest bidder. And that's the toughest thing to see what's happening right now. All right, guys, do I have this all right? Do I have it all wrong? Leave it in the comment section below. I read and reply to all the comments, and I look forward to hearing yours. So thank you so much for joining me on the baseline, and we'll catch you the next round. All right. Cheers, everybody.